The galaxy had rules, laws that every intelligent species respected, or at least pretended to respect. Among them, one law stood above all others: never harm a human child. It was the first galactic rule, and it was said to be sacred, enforced by the Council, a coalition of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. Humans were fragile, unpredictable, and often underestimated, yet they had earned a reputation for resilience. That reputation was about to be tested in ways no one expected. Captain Ilara Voss stood on the bridge of her starship, the Stellar Dawn, staring at the flickering holographic map of the Orion sector. A small red dot blinked nervously at the edge of known space. It was a human colony, one that had been thriving quietly for decades. Now, according to a secret distress signal, it had vanished. Or worse, something had happened to the children. Ilara's stomach tightened. She had seen conflict in every corner of the galaxy, but the thought of innocent human children being harmed, or worse, made her blood boil. The Council had always presented itself as fair, just, and protective. Yet something about this felt wrong. "Captain," said Lieutenant Rena Cho, Ilara's communications officer, "the signal came from deep inside the colony. It's weak and fragmented, but I think it's deliberate. Someone is trying to reach us." Ilara leaned forward, studying the data. "Translate everything, Rena. Every fragment could be a clue." As the team worked, Ilara felt the familiar surge of determination that had carried her through countless missions. She knew that in the vast emptiness of space, no one would save them but themselves. And if the Council had truly turned against its own laws, then humanity would need its courage more than ever. By the time the message was fully decrypted, the reality was horrifying. The children of the colony had been taken, snatched from their homes and hidden in a secret facility beyond the reach of ordinary sensors. Whoever had done this knew exactly what they were doing. And one name came up again and again: the Council. Ilara felt a chill. Could the Council really betray its own rule? It seemed impossible. And yet the evidence was undeniable. "We can't wait for the Council to act," Ilara said, her voice firm. "They won't. If they did this, they will cover it up. We need to go ourselves." Her team, a mix of humans and trusted alien allies, nodded in agreement. Keth, a tall reptilian engineer with green-scaled skin and amber eyes, stepped forward. He had joined Ilara on many missions, and despite his species' history of loyalty to the Council, he had begun to question their motives. "If what you say is true, Captain," Keth said cautiously, "then we are not just defying criminals, we are defying the most powerful authority in the galaxy." "There will be consequences." Ilara's eyes met his. "I don't care about consequences. These are children. That alone is reason enough to act." The Stellar Dawn slipped silently through the void, cloaked against detection, as it approached the Orion sector. The colony lay beneath a veil of radiation storms, a natural shield that made conventional scans unreliable. Yet Ilara's instincts, honed through years of exploration and battle, guided them to the outskirts of the settlement. When they landed, the scene was eerie. Homes stood abandoned, meals still cooking, toys scattered across floors. It was as if life had been paused suddenly without warning. Ilara's team moved carefully, aware that traps could be anywhere. "This doesn't feel like a simple abduction," said Rena, scanning the area. "These children, someone wanted them to disappear without a trace. Whoever did this was planning ahead." Ilara nodded. She crouched beside a small backpack, a child's drawing peeking out from the flap. The image showed stick figures holding hands under a bright sun, but one figure was drawn larger, looming with strange shapes around it. It was a warning, though the child had probably not realized it. "They knew we might come," Keth said grimly. "They're expecting rescuers." Ilara's mind raced. The Council had resources beyond imagining, but humans had something the aliens often underestimated: ingenuity, adaptability, and courage. It was that spirit that had allowed their species to survive countless threats, from asteroid storms to hostile alien invasions. It would be that same spirit that might save the children now. Using a combination of stealth drones and improvised scanners, Ilara's team traced faint energy signatures leading toward an asteroid belt nearby. The signals were weak but consistent, a hidden facility buried inside a massive rock formation, shielded from ordinary detection. Whoever had taken the children wanted no one to find them. As they approached, the facility came into view, a cold metallic structure embedded into the asteroid like a wound in stone. Security drones patrolled methodically, scanning for intruders. Ilara's team paused. "Time to remind the galaxy why humans survive," she whispered. "Let's move." They infiltrated the facility using every trick at their disposal. Magnetic grapplers to scale walls, thermal camouflage to evade sensors, and silent communication codes. Each step brought them closer to the children, but also deeper into the heart of the Council's betrayal. Inside, the facility was stark, clinical, and frighteningly advanced. Cells lined the walls, each containing a human child in stasis, connected to machines that monitored their vitals and, strangely, their neural activity. Screens displayed streams of data, psychic patterns, learning rates, emotional responses. The Council wasn't just holding the children, they were studying them. Ilara's heart ached as she looked at them. These were human children, innocent, curious, and full of potential. Yet the Council had treated them as nothing more than experiments. She clenched her fist, anger fueling her resolve. "We're getting you out," she whispered, as her team worked quickly to disable the containment systems, but the facility's automated defenses were relentless. Laser grids, force fields, and automated drones forced them to split into teams, covering each other as they navigated the labyrinthine corridors. Every moment felt like a race against time. Keth paused at a console, scanning the data. "Captain, this goes beyond simple experimentation. The Council is trying to awaken latent abilities in these children, abilities we didn't know humans even had. If they succeed, it could change the balance of power in the galaxy." Ilara's jaw tightened. "Then we make sure they don't. We take the children and we leave before anyone knows we were here." As they freed the first group of children, alarms blared. The Council had noticed the breach. Security teams would be arriving within minutes. Ilara made a decision. They would split, the children with her, Keth and his team drawing the pursuit away. It was risky, but it was the only way to ensure survival. "Stay close," she told the children, calming their fear with the authority only humans could inspire. "We're here to bring you home. Trust us and you'll be safe." For the first time, the children's eyes filled with hope. They had been taken, experimented on, and left in fear, but now, someone had come to protect them. As the alarms grew louder, Ilara led them through hidden corridors and maintenance shafts, avoiding patrols and traps. Every step required ingenuity, courage, and trust in one another. The children, frightened but resilient, followed her lead, proving that even in the darkest moments, humanity's spark could not be extinguished. Finally, they reached an escape pod, hidden beneath the facility's docking bay. As Ilara prepared the launch sequence, a chilling thought crossed her mind. The Council had orchestrated this entire plan, and if they survived this attack, they would retaliate. Yet she refused to let fear control her. Humanity had always faced impossible odds, and time and again they had prevailed. Now was no different. The children's future and the future of human dignity in the galaxy depended on them escaping. With a roar of engines, the escape pod detached and hurtled into space. Behind them, the facility shrank into the distance, a reminder of betrayal and corruption, but also of the courage that had saved the innocent. Ilara knew this was only the beginning. The Council had broken the first galactic rule, but humanity would survive and they would not forget. The galaxy had underestimated humans before, but never again. As the escape pod streaked toward safety, the children huddled together, and Ilara allowed herself a rare moment of relief. She had rescued them this time, but she also knew that the battle for justice and for humanity's honor was only just beginning, and somewhere deep in the void of space the Council watched, unaware that their own underestimation of humans would soon become their greatest mistake. The escape pod surged through the blackness of space, its engines humming steadily as Captain Ilara Voss guided it toward the edge of the Orion sector. The children huddled together, quiet but alert, their eyes wide with fear and curiosity. They had been taken from their homes, experimented on, and left in cold, sterile cells. Now, for the first time in days, they felt the warmth of hope. Ilara kept her focus sharp. The Council would not let this betrayal go unnoticed. Once they realized the children were missing, they would send patrols, warships, and perhaps even agents capable of tracking them across light years. She needed a plan, one that relied not just on speed but on human ingenuity, the very trait that had kept humanity alive for centuries. "Keth, status report," she said over the comms. We're clear for now, he replied, his amber eyes scanning the pod's sensors. But the council won't wait long. They will find us if we don't change course. Ilara nodded. Good. We're heading to a hidden system beyond their usual charts. It's a place humans have used before for secret research and safe havens. We'll lay low there and figure out our next move. The children were restless. One small boy, no older than 7, tugged at Ilara's sleeve. Will they hurt us again? He asked, his voice trembling. Ilara knelt to meet his gaze. No, not while I'm here. You're safe now, I promise. Her words carried the strength of someone who had faced impossible odds and survived. Somehow the children understood, not just from her voice, but from her calm, determined presence. Hours passed as the pod glided silently through space. During this time, the children began to show signs of the abilities that the council had sought to exploit. A girl named Lyra concentrated on a small object, and it hovered in the air, trembling slightly before settling gently on the floor. Another child, a boy named Taran, seemed to sense Ilara's thoughts, moving instinctively when danger approached, even before the sensors detected it. Ilara realized the council had underestimated humans yet again. These abilities, once awakened, could be used for protection and problem-solving, rather than control. The children were not weapons, they were humans, full of potential, courage, and resourcefulness. By the time the pod reached the hidden system, night had fallen across its twin suns, casting long shadows over the barren planets. Ilara guided the pod toward a concealed landing platform on a small moon. The surface was rugged but familiar, used by humans long before the council had formed their rules. Here they would regroup, heal, and plan. Once safely on the moon, Ilara allowed herself a moment to breathe. The children were safe for now, but the mission was far from over. The council had broken the most sacred law in the galaxy, and someone needed to hold them accountable. We can't stay here forever, Keth reminded her. The council will search every sector they can. Eventually they will find us. Ilara's mind raced. They needed allies, those who were willing to oppose the council's corruption. We reach out to other species who have suffered under the council's decisions, she said. We gather evidence, witnesses, and truth. We make them accountable, not just for these children, but for every human colony that could be threatened next. Over the next few days, the hidden moon became a hub of quiet activity. The children explored their temporary sanctuary, learning how to use their abilities safely under Ilara's guidance. The adults worked to repair the pod, gather intelligence, and formulate a strategy. Slowly, a sense of hope began to grow. One evening, as the twin suns set in crimson streaks across the horizon, Lyra approached Ilara. Captain, she said softly, I think I can see things before they happen. Like a warning. I don't know how, but it's scary. Ilara smiled gently. That's a gift, Lyra, and it can help us protect you all. You must learn to control it, not fear it. Humans are clever, and even the smallest mind can change the future. Word spread among the children, and their fear began to fade. They learned to cooperate, to trust, and even to strategize. In their laughter and curiosity, Ilara saw the spark that had defined humanity for generations. A spirit that refused to give in, even when the odds seemed impossible. Meanwhile, Ilara and Keth began contacting alien allies who had reason to distrust the council. Some were reluctant at first, fearful of reprisal, but the evidence they presented, detailed logs from the facility, recordings of experiments, and the children's abilities, was undeniable. Slowly, a coalition began to form. Species who had once been indifferent or even hostile now agreed that the council's actions could not go unchallenged. We may be small in number, Keth said during a strategy meeting, but we have something they cannot predict. Humans think differently. We adapt, we improvise. That is our strength, Ilara nodded. And these children are living proof. They survived where others might have failed. They will help us show the galaxy that humanity is not to be underestimated. But the council was not idle. Word of the breach had reached their chambers, and a decision was made to retrieve the children by force. A fleet of sleek, heavily armed ships set course for the hidden system, unaware that they were walking into a trap of their own underestimation. Ilara's team prepared for the confrontation. They fortified the moon, set up defenses, and trained the children in subtle ways to use their abilities strategically. They were outnumbered, but humanity had always relied on ingenuity, courage, and the willingness to fight for what was right. When the council fleet arrived, the battle began not with brute force but with clever tactics. Elara used decoys, hidden pathways, and electromagnetic pulses to disable larger ships. The children, under careful guidance, contributed in small but critical ways. Lyra's foresight helped avoid ambushes. Terran's instincts anticipated enemy maneuvers. Every action demonstrated a truth the galaxy had long ignored. Humans, underestimated and often dismissed, could overcome even the most powerful enemies with intelligence, teamwork, and determination. The fight was tense, filled with moments of danger and suspense. Yet despite the Council's superior technology, the humans held their ground. Alien allies joined the fray, inspired by the courage and clarity of purpose shown by Elara and her team. Slowly the tide turned. The Council fleet, expecting easy victory, found themselves trapped, outsmarted at every turn. Finally, Elara confronted the Council representatives in a decisive communication broadcast across the sector. She presented the evidence, the abduction, the experiments, the children's survival, and the willingness of humans to stand up against injustice. Her words carried a mixture of authority, courage, and moral clarity that resonated across countless species. "You broke the first galactic rule," Elara said firmly. "You betrayed the trust of every species in this galaxy. But we are not powerless. Humanity will not allow its young to be used as tools. We will survive, we will fight, and we will make sure the truth is known." The Council, faced with undeniable evidence and widespread scrutiny, could no longer hide behind its power. Slowly they retreated, their plans exposed and their authority questioned. Humanity had survived, and in doing so, had reminded the galaxy of a vital truth: courage, ingenuity, and moral clarity could challenge even the most powerful institutions. In the aftermath, the children returned to their families, forever changed by the ordeal. Yet they carried within them a confidence that no one, not even the Council, could take away. They had survived, learned, and grown stronger. Elara stood on the moon's surface, watching the children play beneath the twin suns. Keth joined her, looking at the horizon. "They are remarkable," he said quietly. "All of them. And so is humanity." Elara smiled, her gaze steady. "They are our future. And if the galaxy ever forgets the value of courage, hope, and integrity, these children will remind them." And so, humanity's spark shone brighter than ever, a beacon of resilience, ingenuity, and unshakable courage. The Council had underestimated humans once again, and they had learned, perhaps too late, that some laws and some spirits cannot be broken without consequence. In the quiet of space, as the twin suns set for a final time that day, Elara allowed herself a moment of pride and hope. The battle was over, but the story of human resilience had only just begun.